Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Is Ethiopia going to start using Berbera port? How much of Ethiopian cargo will be handled by Berbera port? Berbera port, Somaliland Port Authority Director General shared some details. Bad news for Djibouti, it seems that Ethiopia is about to divert its cargo, a large portion of its cargo from Djibouti to Somaliland. Secondly, viewers, is PM Abiy going to visit Ethiopia? Amhara diaspora communities gearing up for protests on the arrival of Ethiopian PM Abiy in the US. Has this visit been confirmed? Why is he going to visit US if the visit happened? Firstly, viewers, Ethiopia has made it clear that it wants to diversify use of ports. Being a landlocked country, Ethiopia has been dependent on Djibouti's ports for all its cargo handling. All imports, exports are handled at Djibouti's ports. But recently, Ethiopia has been complaining, accusing Djibouti of blackmailing Ethiopia, of hiking port tariffs. Djibouti denies. Djibouti says that local Djibouti importers are paying more. Local Djibouti businessmen are paying more than Ethiopian businessmen who are using Djibouti's ports. Last year, it was the Ethiopian Prime Minister, PM Abiy, who made it clear that Ethiopia wants to have access to the sea, though he mentioned some historical evidence and he resorted to historical ethnic points to claim that Ethiopia must have access to the sea. It had ports, it had access to ports. Then it lost access. Now it must regain access to ports. It's a landlocked country. It's a fast growing economy, fast growing GDP, and people, such a large population, definitely should have access to ports, to the sea. By access to port, Ethiopia means unconditional access, full rights on the port, on the corridor to the port. Indirectly, last year, PM Abiy talked about access to Assab port, which was part of Eritrea. Ethiopia were under one administration decades ago. Then the two split. The Eritrea was always separate, independent region. It was annexed by Ethiopian rulers. Eritrea effectively silenced Ethiopia by launching a diplomatic campaign, regional diplomatic campaign. Then Ethiopia turned towards Somaliland. It signed an agreement with Somaliland, not an agreement, an MOU with Somaliland earlier this year. MOU is just an MOU, but it is being opposed by Somalia. Somalia has signed a defense deal with Turkey. The Ethiopia-Somaliland MOU is about Ethiopian access to sea through Somaliland, building of Ethiopian naval base in Somaliland, and recognition of Somaliland as a country and giving shares to Somaliland in Ethiopian profitable entities. But even that MOU is still an MOU. Its future uncertain, as Somalia is vowing to stop the implementation. Whether MOU is implemented or not, Ethiopia wants to diversify its use of ports. It is in talks with Kenya, Lamu port. Kenya is offering reduced tariffs to Ethiopia, and Ethiopia could start using Lamu port this year. Apart from Lamu port, obviously Ethiopia is fully interested in using Berbera port. Berbera port was built by Somaliland and UAE. Both are shareholders. Ethiopia was a shareholder too, but it could not honor its commitment of financial contribution when port was being built. So Ethiopia was deprived of this opportunity to have access to ports in terms of having shares there. And that mainly happened due to war in northern Ethiopia. Ethiopia did not have money. So now UAE's DP World, UAE's company, and Somaliland government are two main shareholders in Berbera. Somaliland Port Authority Director General spoke a few hours ago. His name is Saeed Hassan Abdullah. Saeed Hassan says that Somaliland Berbera Port is making preparations to handle 30% of Ethiopian cargo. So 30% of Ethiopian imports and exports are going to be diverted from Djibouti to Berbera, according to Somaliland Port Authority chief. Has any agreement been signed? Obviously, you need an agreement about port fees, about customs, etc. So far, agreement has not been signed, but the officer said that talks underway. Only one or two issues remain, which are going to be solved in coming days, and after that, agreement will be signed within the next 60 days. The next 2 months, the agreement will be signed, and then Ethiopia will start using a Berbera. Just yesterday, we heard from Dr. Isa Kaitu, Somaliland foreign minister. He also mentioned the same time duration, 2 months. He said within 2 months, Ethiopia Somaliland MOU will turn into an agreement. Agreement will be signed. Three locations have been finalized for the construction of Ethiopian naval base. Ethiopia will decide which of these three to pick. And he said the day Ethiopia signs the agreement, the same day it will recognize Somaliland as a country. Now we have two statements, one from Dr. Isa, Prime Minister of Somaliland, second from Somaliland's the Ports Authority Chairman, Director General, both saying the same, mentioning the same time duration, 2 months. It means that May and June are very crucial for peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. Don't expect Somalia to stay silent, to sit idle. It won't stay silent. It will definitely announce countermeasures. It has expelled Ethiopian ambassador. It has withdrawn its ambassador from Ethiopia. It could resort to more measures. It could seek Turkish support as well. Ethiopia won't build another port in Somaliland. That is what was made clear by Saeed Hassan. He said Ethiopia will use existing Berbera port. That is why UAE will support Ethiopia. UAE support Ethiopia. Why? Because for UAE, Ethiopia is a customer now. You'll see more closer ties between UAE and Ethiopia because the DP World will earn from Ethiopia now. 30% of Ethiopian cargo is going to be a big boost for Somaliland's Berbera port. But not just Berbera port. You'll see Ethiopia using Lamo port too. Reportedly this year, Ethiopia will start using Lamo port of Kenya for its fertilizer imports. Djibouti in trouble. Gradually, Ethiopia is diverting its cargo from Djibouti to other countries. Djibouti's economy, IMF, World Bank have been warning, will take a serious hit if Ethiopia diverts all its imports, exports, handling from Djibouti's port. Ethiopia won't completely stop using Djibouti's ports. It wants to diversify use of port. It will use Djibouti's port, Kenyan port, Somaliland port, maybe one day Eritrean port as well. Is the Ethiopian PM Abiy going to visit the US? Well, preparations are underway. Amhara diaspora community is gearing up to take out rallies, to organize protests against Ethiopian PM Abiy. We have seen rallies against the government, Ethiopian PM since last year by some sections of Amhara diaspora who say PM Abiy is anti-Amhara, his government is anti-Amhara, and he's massacring Amhara people. Will the Prime Minister be there in the US? No. In the US this week in Dallas, Texas, US Africa Business Summit will be held from the 6th of May to the 9th of May. Several African leaders are due to attend this summit. Presidents from Angola, Liberia, Malawi, etc. are expected to attend. Their participation has been confirmed. Is PM Abiy's participation confirmed? We don't know. We have not seen any official confirmation. But diplomatic sources say that PM Abiy could visit US this week. He needs to visit US, by the way, keeping in view that he needs US approval for a bailout package with the IMF. He wants Ethiopia's reinstatement in AGOA. Ethiopia was removed from AGOA, African Growth and Opportunity Act, in 2021 after the war broke out. US removed Ethiopia from AGOA, accusing Ethiopia of human rights abuses. AGOA gave Ethiopian exports to US, it gave access to Ethiopian exports to US market free of taxes. It was a huge boost for Ethiopian textile industry, and after that Ethiopian textile sector, its economic zone suffered a hit. Ethiopia wants reinstatement, and by the next year, reportedly, US is planning to expand AGOA to entire Africa. Ethiopia now sees an opportunity to its reintegration into AGOA. That is why, for securing economic interests, Ethiopian PM Abiy might visit the US. This visit could help the Ethiopian government in getting financial assistance directly from US and from US-backed financial institutions. Let's see what happens. No official confirmation so far. Thank you for watching.